Oh, well, I first got my first audition when, I were in school and I were on like a programme for kids what were misbehaving in school called Horse Watch, and I nearly got kicked out of it for misbehaving, and a teacher come to me and she said, Shaun, Film 4 are coming in to do casting for a film, but I never really thought it was going to be as successful as what it is, and like on my third audition I met Conner and Clio, and when I went in I was nervous for meeting director for the first time, but Clio, she's so kind and she just made me feel uncomfortable then. She made me feel so comfortable, and it was just...
And, yeah.
Well, I got told about the audition by my drama teacher, and then one of my mates, Lachlan, reminded me about it, and then I thought, oh yeah, I'll just go down to get out my lessons and that. So then I've gone down, and I thought it was for a school play, and then I've gone in, and then Amy told me like what it was about and that, and obviously I had script, so I thought, oh yeah, I might as well just go for it, and then obviously I've gone for it, and then it's led to more auditions, and then, like Shaun said, on about third one I met him, and then went to about four or five, and then just found out I had part in that.
They were a dream. I mean, as you can all see, they're absolute naturals. We just clicked, really. I mean, we thought at first, didn't we? We thought we might keep me at a distance for a few days to sort of keep this sort of slight air of mystery and maybe fear. But very quickly, I said to Clio, "That's not going to work. They're too good. You don't want to do that, and also you don't want to have some fun on the film." And so we sort of got to know each other quite quickly and talked, and then basically, I think I sort of helped them a little bit in some scenes about focus and what we do and build it up, and we sort of understood each other, and they knew that when I was being extremely nasty, it wasn't the real me. And it was just a pleasure, wasn't it? It was just a pure pleasure, and they knew their lines every day. Very, very, very impressively, always knew their lines and understood what each scene meant, and I think you worked on sort of the chronology of how to shoot it, which helped you, I think, didn't it? Because she didn't really tell you the ending until later, and it would have been very difficult to film the end sequences out of sequence. So I think you kept them to the end, quite a lot of the stuff, did you?
We couldn't shoot in story order because some of the scrapyard location was pretty complicated. Now Helen has to stand up because she did just Helen. Is she gone?
She's gone shy.
Oh, she's gone shy. But because that location is, she kind of built those buildings in a real scrapyard, and the interiors of the scrapyard are a real scrapyard, and the exteriors were what Helen had built there. So actually we couldn't shoot in story order, but I think part of what is brilliant about these two is that I think you've both got a really strong instinct for storytelling, and so actually you don't have to shoot in story order because you believe in the fiction. So we could kind of talk about each scene as it came up, and you understood what your characters might be feeling, even though they're not like you. They're different from you. And all this amazing cast of adult actors were just phenomenally generous, I think, in terms of being these sort of pillars, I think, for Conner and Shaun, in terms of having somebody to sort of feed off. And so, yeah.
I remember a couple of times I took you aside and said a few nasty things, didn't I? Do you remember that? You. Do you remember that time when you had to do that scene and and I took you aside, I'm not repeating what I said, but I said something, you came out and you were absolutely extraordinary. The scene when we send him away to the thing, was just, I mean, you didn't have to do much, but we just talked in between, like actors do. It was just like working with two fully, experienced adult actors. I never thought of them as younger people at all.
It were half and half, really. Like, sometimes we'd have to stick to the script, but if Clio would say to us, just do it how you feel it should be said, and I think that's why there's so much swearing in it.
That's what I thought too, and then I looked at the script like, oh. It was I'd say it was the initial inspiration, and the first draft of the screenplay was actually written from Kitten's point of view, who in a kind of literal way is the giant. And I got to the end of that process and realised that actually I was very interested in the friendship between the two boys and what happens when they come into contact with Kitten. And so it sort of moved further away from the original story. And then there was a kind of, a doubt in some ways about whether that was still the right title. But I think it is the right title, and because I think it needs to be explicitly a fable in some ways, and also I think the original story is about what gets lost if you exclude children, and I think that's what this film's about, and also the story is about the wounds of love, and I think this is a story about the wounds of love as well.
It's easy. You just like when you go back to school and that you get some jealous, but you know what I mean. That's how it is, isn't it?
Well, I mean, I guess when you're in the middle of making something, actually, you've got your blinders on, haven't you? You're not actually looking anywhere else. You can't, I don't think, when you're actually involved in it. But I guess, since now it's coming out, I think there's an incredible diversity of talent at the moment and some very brilliant British films. And, I guess I do identify as a British filmmaker, yeah.